Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Wednesday Morning Roundtable. My name is Tom Micucci. I'm a member of the advisory committee for the Roundtable, and we have a special guest with us today. A couple of housekeeping items first. I'd like to acknowledge the committee members of the Roundtable: Robert Ackman, Ed Cato, Laura Colburn, Guy Cosentino, Stephanie DeVito, Stephanie Hutchison, Jesse Klein, Susan Martini, Meg O'Connell. So that's the steering committee for the Roundtable. This is also being recorded, so you can access this at any time later on the YouTube or the Facebook Roundtable, Roundtable for Facebook. We have special thanks to our sponsors, Tompkins Trust, Wegmans, and the Allen family. So maybe some of you remember that about 2 years ago we introduced the newer director of the Cayuga County Veterans Service Agency, and she was deployed 2 years ago with COVID, and we've been without somebody for quite a while, for about 2 years. And we were lucky enough to find an extremely qualified individual, Kevin Slott. Kevin is the new director. He's a retired U.S. Army major with 24 years of service between the regular active Army as well as the traditional active Army National Guard. He grew up in the Mid-Hudson Valley, and following high school completed ROTC basic camp at Fort Knox, Kentucky. Graduated and commissioned from Marion Military Institute in Marion, Alabama, with an associate's degree in general studies. In 1987, he served as the Army National Guard from 87 to 89, while he completed a bachelor's degree in history at SUNY Albany. During his regular Army military career, he was deployed on operational missions to Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Kuwait, and Operation Desert Shield and Desert Storm in 1990 to 1991, and to Haiti for Operation Restore Democracy in 1994. Kevin moved to the Auburn area in 1996 as a regular Army advisor to the National Guard until at the Army in South Street, and then transitioned to full-time National Guard in Syracuse in 2000. Following the terrorist attacks on 9/11, he was a key planner of the deployment of several hundred soldiers to Ground Zero and to area security missions in the state's nuclear facilities, Air National Guard facilities, commercial airports, and critical mass transit locations. He was also a key operational planner and manager overseeing the first two major deployments of New York area National Guardsmen in support of Operation Enduring and Iraqi Freedom. He returned to work at Auburn Armory in 2006 as a senior full-time officer before retiring in 2011 as a major. Kevin also completed the Cayuga County Chamber of Commerce Leadership Cayuga just after retirement. His military awards and qualifications include Meritorious Service Medal, Army Commendation Medal, Army Achievement Medal, Combat Infantryman Badge, Ranger Tab, Airborne, and Air Assault badges. Upon retirement from the Army, he worked as a senior military service instructor for Cornell University, Army ROTC program in Ithaca. That included working at SUNY Cortland, Ithaca, and Elmira colleges. He became the enrollment and scholarship manager for the programs and continued instructor. In April of 2020, Kevin joined the New York Guard and deployed to the Capital District to assist the response to the COVID epidemic. He worked as an operational officer in the regional headquarters for 3 months. He was then assigned to Central New York, where he ultimately became an officer in charge overseeing the New York military forces in northern New York, assisting in the operation of test sites, warehouse operations, airport screenings, and vaccination sites, spending 15 months in state active duty. He is currently a volunteer member as a lieutenant colonel. He started as the director of the Cayuga County Veterans Services in January of 2022. Kevin and his wife, Lindsay, who also served in the Army 15 years, currently works for the YMCA. They live in Owasco and they have 2 children. Having experienced the last 2 years not being able to have this position filled, and some of the advisory committee members are here, they would know that we have really needed this position filled, and this is really an important thing to know. And I guess one of the missions we're all trying to do is to bring the veterans closer to the general community. And with Kevin's leadership, that's really gone leaps and bounds in the last 5 months that he's been here. So I would ask you all to give Kevin a round of applause and welcome him to the Wednesday Morning Roundtable.
Well, good morning, everyone. I'm glad to be here. It's a great opportunity to talk about veterans and veteran issues within the community. And I'm glad that it's being recorded, so I'm making sure that I'm not going to make any major faux pas as I go. So, leadership Cayuga, Jenny, thanks for coming. I really appreciate that. I remember that experience from years ago. Before I start, I want to introduce 2 members of our team. Angelo Orlino and Jennifer Wilder. I will say this up front, that I get to stand up here and say things, but they're the ones doing a lot of work. So if people come into the office, and Jennifer, and they can both attest to this, but yesterday I had someone come in the afternoon and looking for burial and death benefits, and you haven't been to the office, but there's a DD-214 and a sticky note saying, here. So they take care of things, so that's awesome. They're able to be here this morning. So I'm going to start off with a poem. And this poem, I was introduced to it at SUNY Portland. We used it for our Veterans Day ceremony. I really appreciate SUNY Portland because they would do a Veterans Day ceremony every year. And it is attributed to Father Dennis Edward O'Brien. And he was in the Marines and then later became a priest. And I think you can look this up on the internet, you'll find different versions of it. I modified it just a little bit for some context. But the name of the poem is What is a Veteran? Some veterans bear visible signs of their service, a missing limb, a jagged scar, a certain look in the eye. Others may carry the evidence inside them, a pin holding a bone together, a piece of shrapnel in the leg, or perhaps another sort of inner steel, the soul's allies forged in the refinery of adversity. Except in parades, however, the men and women who have kept America safe wear no badge or emblem. You can't tell a veteran just by looking, so then we ask, what is a veteran? A veteran is the cop on the beat who spent 6 months in the Middle East sweating 2 gallons a day, making sure the armored personnel carriers didn't run out of fuel. A veteran is the barroom loudmouth, dumber than 5 wooden planks, whose overgrown frat boy behavior is outweighed 100 times in the cosmic scales by 4 hours of exquisite bravery near the 38th parallel. A veteran is the nurse who fought against futility and went to sleep sobbing every night in Da Nang. A veteran is the POW who went away one person and came back another. A veteran is the drill instructor who has never seen combat, but has saved countless lives by turning slouchy, no-account rednecks and punks into Marines, airmen, sailors, soldiers, and Coast Guardsmen, teaching them to watch each other's backs. A veteran is the parade-riding legionnaire who pins on his ribbons and medals with a prosthetic hand. A veteran is the career quartermaster who watched the ribbons and medals passing by. A veteran is the 3 anonymous heroes in the Tomb of the Unknowns, whose presence at Arlington National Cemetery must forever preserve the memory of all the anonymous heroes whose valor dies unrecognized with them on the battlefield or in the ocean's sunless deep. A veteran is the old guy bagging groceries at the supermarket, palsied now and aggressively slow, aggravatingly slow, who helped liberate a Nazi death camp, and who wishes all day long that his wife were still alive to hold him when the nightmares come. A veteran is an ordinary and yet extraordinary human being, a person who offered some of his or her life's most vital years in the service of their country, and who sacrificed their ambitions so others would not have to sacrifice theirs. A veteran is a soldier and a savior and a sword against the darkness, and he is nothing more than the finest, greatest testimony on behalf of the finest, greatest nation you've never known. So remember, each time that you see someone who has served our country, just lean over and say, thank you. That's all most people need, and in most cases, will need more than any medals they could have been awarded or were awarded. 2 little words that mean a lot. Thank you. So I use that poem as an introduction because there are various technical definitions of a veteran, and we get into benefits, there's even more technical definitions. And essentially, a veteran is anyone who served, and we want to recognize that, and that's why we exist, to help those people to get benefits that they might be entitled to. So according to the census and VA statistics, there were about over 5,000 veterans in Cayuga County in 2020. So if each of those veterans has a significant other, 2 children, that comes out to around 20,000 who are part of the veteran family. And the 2020 census put Cayuga County's population at around 76,000. So I'm not really good at math, I'll be honest with you there. So that's about 1/4 of the population is tied to a veteran family in one form or another. That's a pretty significant amount. So the veteran community is a very eclectic group. We can age from late teens, so if you think of someone who just joined the military right out of high school, and that could mean that they're serving in the regular Army, or they could be in the regular service. Sorry, I'll keep saying Army, but I mean all services. Or they could be in the reserve component, National Guard or reserves. So you've got some younger people, and then you've got older people who served long ago and have been in the community a while. So it's quite the age range that we're dealing with. And we also have an ever larger number of veterans who are women. And I was talking to someone the other day about how they saw a veteran sticker on a car and almost made the assumption that it's probably a man, but then a woman got out. My wife served in the National Guard, as mentioned, and so we're very cognizant of the different issues that men and women face. There are differences. Some of our veterans are still serving the National Guard and reserves, and in fact, we mentioned Jessica Strassel. She was in the Air National Guard, and she got called up for the COVID mission. And that mission is still ongoing for the National Guard as well. I was a part of that, but in a different capacity with the New York Guard. And all those Army and Air National Guard members who have been on the COVID mission are now officially eligible for a lot of veteran benefits. And so we think often about service members who deploy overseas, but there are also other missions that service members have that they do active duty and they might still be in the States. Many of them are retired, but many are still integrated into our communities. They come from all branches of service. Some served a little while, and some have served many years. A few examples that we have of veterans in the community are county legislators, town supervisors, we have some mayors, we have nonprofit leaders, leaders of other organizations, and business owners. So veterans are integrated into the community, even though a lot of times you won't even know. My point is that these veterans are woven into the community. Sometimes you don't even know it unless you get to know them in a more close manner. But then you can say that veterans have the same needs as everyone in the community. So what makes the veteran community different is something that was in that poem I read earlier. It is a person who offered some of his or her life's most vital years in service to their country. We think a lot now about the all-volunteer force, and we don't have a draft anymore. But even during times of draft, people had choices. Some options on if they would serve and whether they would serve honorably. With honorable service comes some additional benefits veterans have access. This is the why the Cayuga County Veteran Service Agency exists. One point I always make is that we are not the VA. I'll hear a lot of times, well, go see the VA up on Genesee Street. We're not. Well, now that there's a VA clinic, that people get confused. But we are not the VA. We are county employees that help veterans and their families utilize resources to improve their quality of life. Essentially, anything that ties into that statement is what we do. And if a veteran or family member has an issue question, just please point them to us. Everyone I talk to leaders in the community, politicians. I say if you have a veteran come up and they start complaining about the VA or this or that, just point them to us. That's what we get paid for. Field questions. We'll find an answer, and I like to say sometimes the answer might be no, but we'll see what we can do about it. So many of the resources that we use are from the VA, but the distinction still needs to be made that we are not the VA. In many cases, we are actually advocates for the veteran to the VA. So we are a small agency of 6 positions. I already introduced Jennifer and Angelo. We have a minibus that we provide transportation to veterans to the VA clinic, the VA Medical Center in Syracuse. And we have 2 part-time drivers that do that. And my hat is off to those guys. They are up early in the morning because they're picking up veterans in many corners of this county. And if you've ever driven from north to south in this county, it's quite the drive in quite some remote areas. And so they'll pick up veterans early in the morning to get them to appointments at the VA. We usually like to schedule them between around 8:30 to 11:30. That's our sweet spot. So that they can get up, they don't have to get up ridiculously early, and then we get people back home in time to do some things during the day. But they're hard workers, and we appreciate their efforts, and I think that sometimes they're not recognized maybe the way they should be, but they put in some long days driving that bus, and my hat's off to them. Then there's my position, and then we have a deputy director, which is the other authorized full-time position, which right now is vacant. So if anyone is interested in being the deputy director of the Veteran Service Agency, just go online and apply. So I just want to throw that out there as a plug. We're getting some applications in, but I'll still look and see who else could be interested. So before I start talking about benefits, I want to caveat that most of the benefits that are available through the VA, the veterans have to have other than dishonorable discharges, with a service requirement of at least 90 days. And there's some nuance to that, but I want to throw it out there. And that's one of the things I mentioned was, for veterans who served, even if they were drafted, they had a choice how to serve. They could serve honorably or potentially get a dishonorable. And unfortunately, if they received a dishonorable, then there are benefits that they're not going to be eligible for. Now, there is a recourse if someone thinks that they were discharged dishonorably and it wasn't warranted. You can appeal that. I'm not saying it's going to, be overturned, but there is a chance to upgrade some of the dishonorable discharges. So one of the key tasks that we assist veterans with is disability claims. A disability claim is a veteran's assertion that a current medical issue is tied to military service. With this connection, the veteran is compensated for potential lost wages and quality of life with a monthly payment. Employment preference, vocational training, free medical care for disability, discount life insurance, access to funds for home modification if required, and home care also if required. So if a veteran has a current medical condition that can be tied to their military service, then they could get a rating, a disability rating with the VA. And a lot of the veterans that we're dealing with now are Vietnam veterans. And there are a lot of presumptive conditions that come from service in Vietnam. And, essentially if a veteran has diabetes and they were in Vietnam or in the Navy within 10 nautical miles, that 15? They moved it up.
10, 15.
If you have diabetes, then it's a presumptive that you could have been exposed to Agent Orange, which contributes to diabetes. And it's that sort of thing, as people don't necessarily think about it. They think, well, diabetes, that's a thing, but it could be tied to military service and you could get a disability and some other benefits for that. And there's a lot of other, I'm not going to go into all the details on that, but I just want to use that as an example of a condition that could be tied to military service, and then the benefit that comes with it. Other claims that we assist with are veteran and survivor pensions, where a veteran family member meets a low income and care needs, and it could include aid and attendance if qualified. Now this one has I say, I've only been 4.5 months, But in the last couple weeks, I've been contacted by different people about 2 different veterans who could fall into this category. We have a veteran up in Throop, and I received a call, I guess it was Friday, from a friend, a neighbor of a veteran down in Summerhill, who are living in residences that are not the best, let's just say that. They're living on Social Security income, they've got financial issues, they need some assistance in keeping their residences inhabitable. And this is, the pension is essentially something that could help them live a better life. And so it's as with the government and all things, it requires a good deal of paperwork, but in the end, it could really help out the veterans. And these are non-service connected. So essentially, if a veteran is over 65, meets a low income threshold, then we can put in for this pension based on income and assets, and it will at least bring them up to the poverty level in how they live, in their living conditions. So that's a benefit that not a lot of people know about. And if you're over 65 and you've served at least a couple years in the military during wartime service, a veteran could be eligible for that. We also work on dependent compensation for families of veterans who died in service, or if they died of a service-connected condition, and that condition must be established before they die. So another thing we have found is that we have veterans out there who could have been eligible for benefits, and then they pass away, and their family starts going, well, my relative was a veteran, and is there anything that you can do for the surviving family member? And if they did not have a claim on file, there's nothing we can do. So I want to encourage, and this is part of the reason I'm here, is encourage veterans to come in and see if they are eligible for something, not necessarily for themselves in all cases, but for their family members as well. And that's just the word we want to get out, and I'm going to enlist you to help with that here at the end. So one rewarding but sad benefit we assist with are for death and burial. So if a veteran's family can get a benefit to help with burial expenses. In fact, I had someone stop me off, as I said yesterday, father served, and so we'll work on that with that as well. Another benefit that we don't directly deal with, but is available to veterans, is health care. VA healthcare has been working hard to overcome a bad reputation, and I believe it has come leaps and bounds over the last 10 years or so. And I mean, I think if you've been around a little while, you saw stories about really bad conditions in some of the VA medical centers. And fortunately, the government put some money into it, federal government, and I believe that they've done a decent job of improving the VA healthcare system. So veterans are generally eligible for VA healthcare if they served before September of 1980, served 2 years on active duty, or for the full period they were called to active duty, or if they were released early or discharged for a condition that was caused or made worse by military service. The key there is, in some cases, you don't know. But if you served for 2 years before 1980, then there's a good chance then you can be eligible for medical care. VA healthcare is low or no cost, especially when dealing with military-related issues. If you have a VA disability for something, then any treatment for that condition is covered by the VA at no cost. We're very fortunate to have the VA clinic here in Auburn, and I think that clinic is kind of an example of how the VA healthcare has improved, because the VA clinic used to be attached to the hospital. I went there once, and they did good with what they had over there, but it was kind of an annex to the hospital. It was kind of hard to get to. If someone came in a wheelchair, you had to call somebody out to do the elevator, and it was kind of complicated. They said they did the best with what they had. But when they were able to take over the old Rite Aid and create the clinic there, it's a great facility. So I think that's a good example. We're fortunate to have that right here in Auburn. And we talk about Cayuga County being very recall, up north, so people up in the Fairhaven area, there's another clinic in Oswego, so that one's probably closer for a lot of veterans in northern Cayuga County. And there's another clinic in Freeville, which, if you don't know where that is, it's between Ithaca and Portland. So down south, potentially veterans could go to those. So we're not parochial to the county in that respect. Whatever is the best, most convenient thing for the veteran is what we look out for. So these clinics essentially operate as primary care managers for the veteran's basic medical needs. And the specialized care is offered through the VA Medical Center in Syracuse, or through a network of community care providers. That is another place that the VA has done well to improve care for veterans by contracting with providers in local areas so that you don't always have to go to the medical center. Now, the challenge with community care is it takes longer to get an appointment. I had a medical procedure that I had done, and they said, well, do you want to go to the medical center, or do you want to try and do it in Auburn? I said, well, let's try and do it in Auburn. So it took a week or two to make the appointment, and so instead of having to go to the medical center, I had it done right here in Auburn at the hospital. So there are options for medical care. It just depends on your timeline and what you want to do. And I'd say that's another way that the VA has improved their medical care system. The community care also includes urgent and emergency care. So the hospital is part of that network. WellNow is part of that network as well. And the VA actually has a very good website, and you can look up a lot of this on your own and see where these different providers who have contracted with the VA are, and look that up. So I personally have been using VA healthcare for several years, and I've been generally pleased with it. I'm one of those guys who never went to the doctor before, and now as I get a little older, I go to the doctor a little bit more. And I told this story on Guy's Inside Government. He interviewed me a couple months ago now. And if we have some time at the end, I'll tell you about how I had a laser shot in my eye. But we'll see how we do on time at the end. Or you can watch it on Guy's Inside Government interview. There's no such thing as a perfect system, and I get frustrated sometimes. People will complain about just about anything, right? And so it's easy to complain about the VA. It's a convenient whipping post, but just like any bureaucracy, it's going to have its issues. It's a government agency. It's run by human beings. Human beings, are better. You have good days, bad days, all that kind of thing. But in my opinion, the VA has come light years in their healthcare system. And so, as I said, I've been using it, haven't had to do anything too in-depth, but I also have people I know who have used it and have been generally pleased with it. And you hear about issues with all medical providers at some point. So one of the areas that we're looking at more is mental health. And I would say if there's a gap locally for veteran care, it's in the area of mental health. As I looked on the community care portion of the VA website, and there really aren't any providers in the local area. There is a behavioral health, mental health clinic in Syracuse for veterans, but here in the local area, it's really sparse. And the fortunate thing is that the state is going to be allocating some funding for veteran mental health in the upcoming budget. And there's also an opportunity for a federal grant to get some federal mental health funding as well. And I'm going to tell you right up front is that I've talked to Lauren at Cayuga County Mental Health, and she's looking into this, and I applaud them for helping. They're going to be the heavy lifters on this, because I am in no way, shape, form, or manner ready to take that on in this capacity that we have. So I'm working with the Cayuga County Mental Health to see what we can do to improve mental health availability here in Cayuga County. One of the agencies we're working with in that result, or in that need, is Nick's Ride. One of the big themes of current mental health addiction care is peer mentors. And Nick's Ride is trying to come on board with that, and went to a presentation a couple weeks ago there. They've got a great facility, they've got some great people who have a lot of energy to try and get some things done. And I had a younger veteran who I ran into at Rite Aid. You just kind of run into people there in Alton, right? And I was talking to another veteran, and he overheard the conversation. He came over, and he actually took the initiative. He said he had been over Nick's ride, he had seen what they're doing, and he took the initiative to talk to them. And on your way out, you're going to see a flyer for what's called the Veterans Gathering, if you haven't already picked it up. So on Thursday evenings, it's an opportunity for veterans who want to just get together in a non-drug, non-alcohol environment and just hang out. And I applaud that because I see in many cases, or a lot of veterans where they hang out has alcohol. Maybe that's not the right thing they need to be doing. Maybe they need to find another option to get away from that kind of substance to help themselves out. So those are really some of the biggest benefits that veterans could be eligible for. But we also work with veterans who contact us with questions like, how do I get my Home Depot discount? It was really interesting. We had this happen. This is a real story. Home Depot changed the way they do things. They wanted you to download their app on a smartphone and then go through a registration process. Well, I say we're dealing with veterans who are in their 80s, older. They don't even have a smartphone, right? And so we worked with them, and one of the things that is very helpful, I'm going to do another plug for one of our county agencies, is at the DMV, if you bring in your DD-214 separation document, you can get veteran, the word veteran, put right on your driver's license. And that way, if you go somewhere and they offer a veteran discount and they ask for proof, if you have your driver's license, you have veteran right there on your license. That sort of thing. You don't have another type of V8. You're not going to carry it around all the time. That's just a way of doing it. So we field all questions about major benefits, minor benefits. It's what we do. So as I said, I've been in this position for 4.5 months, so I don't have all the answers, but I'm getting pretty good at finding them. And with Angelo and Jennifer's help, we make it through the days. We have a steady flow of people coming through. And, but we're a small agency, so I'm going to enlist your help here. And anyone who's online, who stops in and wants to help, I'm going to put out this call. I'm also meeting with the American Legion commanders tonight. They have a monthly meeting, so I'm going to that. So if you did everyone pick up one of the flyers as they came in the door? I don't have one. If you don't, Angelo can get you one. But I want everybody to have one of those flyers. Anybody who doesn't have one? I think everybody does. Okay.
Does everyone have
I'll
one?
post this on our Facebook page if you want to print it out and get it. But on the front of that, it lists, essentially you can take that and you can take extras if you have a bulletin board somewhere where you can hang it. It talks about some of the things that we do, and it talks about our mission about helping veterans. And so I invite you to take those, post them around, and that way we get the word out a little bit more. But if you turn that over on the back, I've got a statement that says, be a battle buddy. And battle buddy is a term that the Army uses. I'm sure that each service has something similar to ensure that soldiers are looking out for each other. So what I'm asking is that for everyone to be a battle buddy for any veterans that you know. So if you go through that, I'm just going to go through it really quick. One of the first things I want veterans to know, or to do, or family members to know, is do they know where a copy of their DD-214? It says, right on the form, it says, this is a very important document. Keep, do not lose. There should be neon signs saying that. We get so many calls about veterans who do not have a copy of their discharge paper. And we really can't do a lot until we get a copy of that discharge paper. And so if you talk to a veteran, do they know where their DD-214 is? And if they want to, another plug for a county agency, is they can take their DD-214 and and go to the county clerk, and they will put it on file there, and it will be there forever. We have discharge paperwork going back to at least World War I, right? Probably.
Some.
Yeah,
World War
there's some
II.
older ones in there.
World War II.
We can actually pull them up, this is one of the systems that's already digital in the clerk's office. And Sue's doing a great job with trying to digitize everything, as you might know. But this is one area that we, from our office on Genesee Street, we can actually pull up a copy of discharge paperwork if it's there. If it's not there, then you have to do additional paperwork to send into the VA to get a copy sent to you. They're usually pretty receptive, depending on how long ago the service was. But, you know, if it takes a couple days, that's still a couple days that could have been saved. So I implore veterans to make sure they know where a copy of their DD-214 is, put a copy on file with the county clerk, and then it will always be there no matter what, and you'll have access to it. Just put it with other important documents, marriage certificates, all that kind of thing. So if a veteran is not enrolled in VA healthcare, they can check to see if they're eligible. If you go online, or we can go online, we can check and see if that is a benefit that they could start utilizing. In fact, this gentleman right here is going to check into that at some point as well. If a veteran has a medical condition, a current medical condition that can be tied to military service, then we can put in a claim for that. I'm not going to say it's always going to be connected, but you don't know until you ask, and there are benefits that come with that. If you already have, if a veteran already has a service-connected disability, you know, if things get worse, or there's some association between one condition and another, then that disability rating could be upgraded. I was at my church one night, and a young man walked in, and they were talking about TRICARE insurance, and I'm the resident military expert. And he said, well, what's this? And I said, well, you just need a copy of ID card, this and that. And then I noticed that he had part of his hand was missing. He had been in the Air Force, and he was loading an aircraft, and he was wearing a jacket, and the jacket got caught in the mechanism, and he was injured. And so he was out of the military with a disability retirement. But if you have lost limited use of one hand, you will compensate with the other side. And so I said, come on in, and we can put you in and see if we can upgrade your disability. And so that's still in process. I'm not going to say this stuff happens overnight, but that's why time is kind of important, because it is a process that you have to go through. So if you know someone who has a condition and it's not getting any better, which it doesn't, then we potentially see if we could put in for an upgrade. I already talked about the pension. In general, if you know a veteran who's over 65, living under the poverty level, that is something that we put in for. And if they get the pension, then there are other benefits that could come as well. The first step is to see if they're eligible for the pension. Another thing I want everyone to know about, and again, it goes to the county clerk's office, is the Return the Favor program. And that is a list of local businesses who have agreed to give a veteran discount. And there is a spreadsheet on the county clerk's office website that says these are the businesses that agree to give a discount. And I have to say, I'm trying to get out more, but I want to thank these businesses for doing this. And we all know about, I talked about Home Depot. I'm a big fan of Lowe's personally, and their discount program. It is a business decision. If Lowe's said tomorrow we're not going to do it anymore, I go, okay, that's good. That's your decision. So these smaller businesses that offer this discount, I just want to commend and thank you for that. And I'm trying to get around and visit some of them. There's a campground up in Fairhaven that offers a veteran discount. I'm not sure exactly, I can't remember exactly what it is, but I plan on going there at some point. So that's how I found out about it. I said, that place looks pretty nice. I'm going to spend a night or a weekend up there or something like that. But those businesses are listed there on the county website, and trying to get out more and thank them and see what we can do with them and for them. Another big benefit is veterans are eligible for a property tax exemption. There's different types. There's just for service, there's disability, combat service. And I think a lot of veterans I talk to are aware of that one. You just got to go to your local town or the city and show them the D214, and you can get a tax break on your property taxes. There are organizations like Team Red, White, and Blue. This is one that's relatively new, but it focuses on veteran wellness, and it's really an online organization. There's a chapter up in Syracuse, down in Ithaca, but my wife and I, mostly my wife, I'm going to say that, she's joined Team Red, White, and Blue just to be more active and see if we get something going with that, and have these other opportunities for veterans to do things in the community. As I said, the VA has a great website. You can go there, find out lots of information. You can sign up for a weekly newsletter. And we have a great website. I can't take credit for it because it was there. I think it was John Barbagallo who worked in our office, and he was very computer savvy. And a lot of good information on our website. And if you take the front side of the flyer that I gave you, there's a little QR code in the bottom right-hand corner. And if you have a smartphone, you don't even have to type in the web address. You can open up your camera, you can get the little yellow box, and then tap on it, and it'll take you right to our website where a lot of this information is. And as I say, if you hang these up and people go around and they can take a picture of those QR codes, then they can go right to our website and find out about us and potential benefits as well. So if anyone is interested in helping veterans, I'm trying to find more people who are interested, and I know that is a challenge everywhere we go. But one of the things that we can do potentially is have a little team of veterans that can go and help when we have a veteran in need. Whether that be just helping with paperwork, or we get a lot of calls for accessibility ramps, and I know there's other organizations that do that. We work in tandem, kind of what we're doing. I talked about the veteran up in the group. He's got some plumbing issues, so we're trying to figure out the best way to help him take care of that as well. So if you're interested in volunteering and helping, I may not have something for you right now, but we'll see where we can fit people in. Part of the way I see myself in this position is I'm putting a puzzle together. Right? If you've ever done a puzzle, you have a picture on the box, right? Well, I kind of have a picture, but it's kind of blurry right now. And I'm finding pieces, and I'm plugging pieces into the puzzle, and I'm building a picture of what the Veteran Service Agency does. And doing events like this, meeting different people, I find another piece, and then I plug it into that picture. The goal is to have a nice picture at the end. One of the things that we have is we have a veteran support fund that we can accept donations. We can support veterans in need, emergencies. Before I got here, I can't take any credit for this, last fall, winter, a veteran had their furnace go out. And so from this fund, we were able to give them essentially a loan so they could get a new furnace, and then they're paying back as they can. So we are helping veterans in a physical manner through that fund when they have a need. And we can also support other veteran causes, events, and things like that through that fund. So that's something that we manage as well. So one thing with the fund is Jim Orman called me up and says, "Hey, Kevin, you want to have a golf tournament? Any golf player? I haven't played golf in years, so this might be a good opportunity to get out there." So we're working on putting together a golf tournament on the 24th of June down at the Wells College Golf Course. So you might be seeing a little bit more on that. If you're interested in playing some golf and also help out our veteran support fund. So as I said, I'm trying to do a few initiatives, tie veterans together, benefits in the community. It's a process, obviously. It's not going to happen overnight, but I think each day we're getting a little bit better. My belief is that we have a strong veteran community that in turn makes the entire community stronger. Memorial Day is coming up, and Saturday is Armed Forces Day, if you did not know. So Armed Forces Day is to recognize those who are currently serving. And Veterans Day is designed primarily for those who have served, and Memorial Day is obviously those who have died in service to our country. And as I thought about that, I think a lot about how we honor those who have passed. But I think one of the ways that we can honor those who have passed, and I came up with this little slogan, that we can honor the fallen by supporting the living. So if you think about those service members who died in service, how would they want us to live today? And it is my belief that they would want us to live by helping each other. Not fighting with each other, helping each other. And we see in our society a good amount of division. And so on Memorial Day, I'd like to see, and into the future obviously, how we can come together to honor their memory by serving each other and helping each other out. So on that sheet, you have our contact information. As I said, we're a small office. If you call and we don't answer, please leave a message. We will call you back. But we also use email. That's on there. And we have a Facebook page. If you have Facebook, you can like our Facebook, like and follow our Facebook page for updates there. If you come to our office, we appreciate appointments, because as I said, I'm the only full-timer there right now, and I'm not always in. I'm doing events. And so if you come to the office and no one's there, then you made an appointment, you don't have to worry about that. Throw that out there. So on your way out, you're going to see a couple of additional flyers if you haven't already picked them up. Senator Mannion is hosting a Veteran Resource Fair on the 14th of June, which is also, you can tell me, your quiz for the morning. What's that? Flag Day. It's also, for those of you who are in the Army, it's the Army birthday. So those coincide. So I just want to throw that out there. So that's going to be over at the community college. Also during that Veteran Resource Fair, Nick Valenti is going to be recognized. I think a lot of you know Nick. He's also part of our advisory board. And I also mentioned the Nick's Ride Veteran Gathering flyer. So I'm trying to get that word out as well. So I want to encourage the veterans and families to reach out to us to see how we can help. And if we don't know if someone needs assistance until somebody has. So please point them in our direction. Thank you very much for this opportunity. And I guess we're open for questions now.
Can you hear it?
No.
Anyway, I'll just shout louder. Excellent job, Kevin. Thank you so much. Let's take some questions. Fire away.
Good morning. My name is Timothy Donovan. I'm a longtime Auburn, Cayuga County homeless veterans advocate in many areas. And Kevin, thank you for your presentation, your service to the nation. I want to thank all veterans here attending today for their service to the nation. And one topic that wasn't discussed and is very important is the topic of stigma. The stigmatization or stigmatized. I'm talking about veterans here now. And it's a long-standing issue. Okay. Thank you. Can anybody hear me before? Okay, so thank you. Is this working?
It is.
Okay.
Keep it close. You gotta keep it close.
Yeah, I got it now. Okay, thank you. Just want to get my train of thought back. It's stigma can be a devastating and a barrier to one's moving forward regarding alcohol substance abuse, mental health diagnoses. You mentioned about the Nick's Ride and the mental health services. I applaud you to approach Lauren Davis, and we need a behavioral program up here in Cayuga County. But we have a wonderful woman here, Mrs. Monica Salvage. She's a director coordinator, excuse me, of the Cayuga County Healing Community Studies. And her campaign, her staff is focused on the priority of educating and informing our community on the effects of stigma. She's done a wonderful job. And we made some headway, but we got a long way to go. And I'm on the Chapel House Board of Directors. I've been a long time volunteer at Chapel House. We have 6 beds dedicated to veterans at Chapel House. And I will visit there as their advocate, and they tell me what affects them most strongly and hurts them most importantly is being stigmatized. You know, as a veteran, is alcohol substance abuse, mental health, as I said. So I think we as a society, it's a hard nut to crack. It's a hard wall to break down. But we all have to know our efforts in assisting veterans in this area. And I truly lost my train of thought. Got the microphone. But I want to get, Kevin, I want to get your thoughts on it.
Yep, I think
Your experience with stigmatization and how it affects veterans and how we can improve it in our community.
I think I know where you're going with that. Actually, I actually stopped at Chapel House at a meeting there several weeks ago, learned about their services. And it is, pride is a thing we human beings have. And sometimes we have to put aside our pride in order to get help. And I think that's what creates some of that stigma is, especially among some veterans, is they go, well, I'm a veteran, I don't need to do this, you know, I shouldn't have to do this kind of thing. But breaking down, veteran is a label that sometimes people put on themselves. And you can either rise to it or you can be impressed by it. If you look at my flyer, one of the things I've come up with is what I call the veteran qualities. And I believe that as a veteran, you have experiences that many people don't have. And you can use those, you can either use those experiences to try and be better, or you can be kind of overwhelmed by those experiences. And that's where we have to find that balance of using that title of veteran. And the stigma, and remember though, always remember that veterans are a reflection of our society. And so we get our service members from our society who then go into service, and some people think that the service is just going to magically make people better. It doesn't always make people better. Sometimes you can have people who get worse. And so you have to take that into account. So using that term is challenging sometimes. But I think what we have to break down is pride of I need help. And the military service is actually trying to do a good job of that with providing some mental health while people are in service, and then they'll be better when they get out. Tom, you got something?
Yeah. We've got about 7 minutes left. I'm not sure if you can hear me here, but can you hear me now? Okay, about 7 minutes left. I'm going to take like 1 or 2 more quick questions, and then I'd like to make a little bit of statement about the weekend of enduring gratitude. We have some of the members here. It's kind of an important event that everybody should be known. So, a couple of questions. Anybody else? Dave.
Now, it's not a question, but it's a statement. I don't
It comes out on the video better.
All right, thank you. Just a comment. Just how lucky we are to have Kevin here. I knew Kevin when I was sheriff of the Armory. And when I heard, as chairman of the Ledge now, when I heard that he was applying for our job, our open position job, I was so delighted and so pleased. Just to let everyone know that every time I go and make a speech somewhere in this county, I say how lucky we are to take Kevin away from Cornell. You've heard his resume, it's outstanding. Welcome here, Kev. You'll always be welcome here. I'm glad you moved here to move in, and I know you're going to do a great job. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
By the way, Dave is the chair of the advisory committee and has been steering us for the last 2 years before you came. Any other questions? All right, let me make a couple of statements. On Friday night, or excuse me, Friday morning, we gathered at the Armory for the Enduring Gratitude trip to DC. And if you talk to anybody who went there, they're stunned by how wonderful the whole experience was. We get there, we get fed, we get all kinds of things. Tom's got a shirt on. They gave each person 3 shirts, so they had a clean shirt for every day. They gave us blankets, they gave us pillows, they gave us food. We arranged to have lunch in Pennsylvania, courtesy of J.D. Pappas, where he grew up. There were all kinds of things. Everything was donated and paid for, and it was. But the most important thing is, all these people got front row seats, especially these people in wheelchairs, to all the major things. I'll give you a quick list of where we went. And by the way, your successor, Dave, Brian, gave us escorts all the way down to the New York-Pennsylvania border, and also picked us up on the way back. It was just an amazing thing. So we leave, after all that, we leave and we drive around, and all these kids from grade schools were waving and things. We stopped at the City Hall, Mayor Quill came on, gave a talk. Everything was like first class. And so we get down to our hotel, and we get to go to this unbelievable Marine parade. When I say unbelievable, I mean unbelievable. I was in a marching band. I don't deserve to be in the same room with these people. And they were amazing. And then the next day we went to all kinds of memorials. The Vietnam, the Korean, World War II, Navy, Air Force, Marine, Army, Arlington National Cemetery, and the Cosentino Florist donated, we laid a wreath on Auburn, I believe it was 2 admirals, father's son, I hope I have that right. But the major thing was the kindness and of the individuals who were caring for him. I think it was about a 50-50 participants versus staff. We had 4 nurses, 4 EMTs, and maybe a couple of dozen people supporting things. Every time we stopped, the staff would come on board, carry anybody who was in a wheelchair out to a wheelchair. All smiles. Nothing was depressing. It was all kindness and wonderful. Probably gonna get a little emotional here, but it was just wonderful. Tom Crawford's here. His son and daughter-in-law were 2 of those people, and I saw them with smiles. They were entertaining us, but and everybody was positive. And when we stopped at a particular thing, all the wheelchairs were front row. They arranged so everybody could see, and we were like the changing of the guard. They're all up front. We had a 90-something-year-old Marine female who received the flag after they did the flag folding ceremony. It was just whatever. It was wonderful. So check it out on Facebook, and I think that's about all I have to say. I'm probably messing something up, but anyway, I want to thank you all. It's almost 9 o'clock. I want to thank you all for coming. I guess the one theme here is, let's see if we can get the general public more affiliated and connected to the veteran community, and that's all I have to say. So thank you for coming. It for the season. So again, thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
Thank the whole staff, and that's it. Signing off.